What's up, She Sells girlies? On today's episode, we talk about being an alpha without being a dick. Yes, you can do it. We don't want arrogance. We want authority. So listen to the episode and we'll teach you exactly how to do it. I know you'll love this one. Bye. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? That was a eventful start. Hey,
Oh my gosh, I can't even talk about it.
did we tell people?
I mean,
No?
yeah, you go for it.
All right, we got it now, right? So this will be the last time that we use the studio. We're actually getting a proper studio, but
Yeah.
it's just like it has been chaos trying to set up this episode. So number one was we got these new mics. They didn't allow it to get plugged in. Number two was we're having some issues with the camera, and then number three is like we have a very white background for any of you guys that can actually see this. I was wearing a white shirt, so Brooke's like, "Hey, let's change your shirt." So we have the ceiling fan on at full speed. Brooke hands me the shirt underneath the fan. Here's me having no idea. Lifted my arms a little as I took my shirt off, and my finger just went straight into the full speed. We both had no idea what happened. My fingers are still there. They're just bleeding kind of bad, but got the heart rate up, that's for sure.
Like the fan is, like Scott is a
It's like
sweaty
just on my
guy.
head. Yeah, it's right.
He's a sweaty guy. So the fan is on full speed. It's not just like on 1, it's like on 5.
It's very low though. I feel like I walk underneath it almost.
It is, the ceiling here is actually just in this room.
Just
Anyway.
Alrighty, well, let's get into it. So what are we talking about?
I'm excited for this one because it's coming up a lot in our call. Yeah, I know. I'm excited for everyone. But this one here is how to be an alpha in sales.
An alpha.
An alpha.
An alpha.
What do I say? An alpha.
An
An alpha.
An alpha, yeah. Being an alpha in sales.
An alpha
An alpha.
in sales without being a dick.
Yep.
Because I feel like when people hear the word alpha, they immediately think that means being bossy, aggressive, a bully,
Yeah.
pressuring.
Yeah, well, I think we got to distinguish what that term means as well, right? Like, what does the term alpha? What does that mean for you?
Well, to me, it's like holding authority
Yeah.
and being a leader.
Yes.
That's what to me, like being an alpha, that's what that means to me. And like not pandering to your potential client and also not letting them just walk all over you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So an alpha, like to me, 100%, it's like a natural leader. It's someone that kind of like knows what they want and they kind of just like move in that direction.
Yeah.
And I guess the big thing, if we were to go like super primitive with it, it's like there is an alpha in a pack. And essentially they're like the kind of leader that everyone like follows, right? Whether it's like self-imposed or whether it's just like through natural, like through the group being like, hey, you're the guy. So yeah, but that's the thing as well, right? So like, cause a whole lot of this stuff it's like, you know, it being an alpha without being a dick. It's like leadership isn't being a dick. It's not telling people what to do. So I think like that's the misconception there, right? Is like people think that being a leader is like, I'm the guy, I tell you what to do.
Exactly. Domination.
Yeah, domination.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, leadership in sales is not about dominating. It's about guiding.
100%.
So like the best closers, they don't push people into making decisions. That's not what I mean when I say how to be an alpha. But what they do is they lead them there with certainty and they empower them to make a decision, yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to know examples because we've both seen it. We've both seen alphas who are dicks, but they're actually just dicks in person.
Yeah.
That's just who they are. They're not just dicks in sales calls. Yeah. So we've seen that.
Names specific.
We'll keep the names for after the podcast. But we've also seen some incredible leadership in sales where people you can see that real guidance and that leading. And like we always say, people want to be led. Yeah. They do. Yeah. They look for it.
Yep.
So let's start with some examples of like alpha behavior that is dickish. I don't even know if dickish is a word, but we'll go there.
Yeah. Well, I think the easiest one, right, is like no one likes being told what to do. That's the biggest thing. So like sometimes like look, you listen to sales calls because we listen to a lot of sales calls, right? And like, you know, there's times where you kind of see someone, it is like dominating, right? It's very much like they're kind of like, they're very much like, what's the word? Like they're telling the prospect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where like, if you tell someone what to do, they don't do it. So it's like inception. You have to like make it their idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember I remember when we were in the gyms, we went to a workshop and the guy was talking all about like leadership. There was like leadership level 1, 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Essentially, leadership number 1 is like, hey, I'm the boss. Do what I say.
Yeah. Or I won't like you. Or
or there's repercussions, punishment, right? Whereas leadership number 5 is like people, you inspire people, you get the most out of them.
You make more leaders is leadership.
100%. Well, that's the thing. So it's like when you're not there, what are they doing?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Actually, I want to can we touch on that real quick?
We definitely can. Yeah.
If you are leader number 1 and you're telling and bullying people to say yes, what happens when you're not there? They're going to be like, oh my God, I felt bullied. I felt pressured into doing this. I want a refund. And not only that, they can take it to the extremes. Like, do you know what I saw last night? I was doing a little Google search on like myself. It's like, I know that sounds crazy, but it was as you do. Just before you go to bed, you Google yourself. It wasn't me. It was She Sells with Brooke. I was just seeing like what comes up in the Google search. And I stumbled across a sales agency that had like this really bad name for themselves. One particular customer had asked for a refund and was just getting blanked, like no response.
Just stick your head in the sand and act like it's
exactly. And it was like $10,000. So it was like a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, she didn't just leave a review. She made a landing page that's like why you shouldn't sign up to, I'm not going to say the name, but why you shouldn't sign up to this. And literally it's like, contact me if you want to know more. Like here are what the customers are saying. So it's basically like her landing page mimicked, but like completely changed around with the language to be like, do not sign up to this if you want to lose your money, if you want to be lied to, if you're going to and I was like, that is an example of pressuring someone to buy, giving them all these false promises, like I'm this type of this is what you're going to get, and then they come into the program and they get none of that.
Yeah.
It's an example of what not to do.
Yeah, 100%. But that's the thing as well, like leader 1 leaders, because that term of like, hey, like sure, you know, okay, so the stick versus the carrot, right? It's like the stick is immediate. The carrot is the harder path, but it's the much further rewarding path, because if you use the stick, unless the stick consistently gets bigger and harder, right, and like barbed wire wrapped around it, the power of it diminishes every time you use it.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas like a carrot, like the carrot just gets bigger. Right. So, and like it's much more motivating.
What if you eat the carrot?
Well, there's another carrot. If they're eating the carrot, they're hitting the goal. Like that's amazing, right? But then there's just another carrot. It's the next carrot to go to.
Yeah.
But like if you're punishing, there's another thing as well. Whereas like, yeah, if you're not there, what are they doing? Are they doing the thing? It's the same with sales, right? So it's like, you know, you might you drag someone over the line, but like the second they come off the call with you, if you're that level 1 leader that's basically like dominating and being an alpha in bad sense. The moment they get off the call, they're like, oh, that I don't really feel very good. Like, yeah, I did the thing, but I don't feel very good. They're going through with sour taste and refunds.
Yeah.
Like, or like hang-ups. Boom, that's a big one, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you're getting hung up on a lot, like, double check this.
Well, double check your how, the how behind what you're saying.
Exactly right.
Because there's a difference between arrogance and authority.
Yes.
And we often find this in some of our girls' tones. It's like, hey, that's coming across as accusatory, or like you're actually being really arrogant here. Exactly.
The intent is not perceived correctly.
Exactly. So if you can say a bunch of words that on paper you wouldn't be offended by, but if you add an like arrogance or an accusatory tone to those words, all of a sudden that perceived like truth is changed, because it's like, oh, I feel attacked now. I feel bullied.
Yeah.
And I think like, you know, authority inspires trust, whereas arrogance repels it. And if you've got this arrogance and ego to what you're talking, people may say yes because they're worried. They're like, oh my God, if I don't, what's going to happen? Like, do you know what I'm trying to say here? Like,
I do. And there's actually a really interesting study. So like, I can't remember what book it is, but anyway, there's like the study on like authority and perceived authority, right? There's that study they did where like, it's pretty absurd. They had a person in a lab coat, right? Lab coats through the roof. So like, you want to do it, like maybe we start doing sales calls in lab coats. I don't know, because apparently it works. But they have like people off the street come in, guy in the lab coat. They have this like a test. It's like they're testing like a quiz. It's just like a trivia essentially. But there's a paid actor in the other room, and it's like, hey, if he gets the answers wrong, you buzz the button. Like there's an experiment. It's like, we need it for science. And the person's like, oh, you're in a lab coat. You know exactly what's going on. Perceived authority, right? So they do the thing. They ask the question, light buzz. It's like a light buzz. The guy on the other end, they just hear the audio and he's like, that's done. Anyway, he says each time he gets it wrong, I'm going to up the voltage, and he ups it by however much. Now, this is the power of this stuff, right? Like, these are human beings. It's paid actors. The guy doesn't know who's actually doing the zapping. He gets to the point where they're putting through like however many thousands of volts or whatever. I got no idea how much it is, but like really high voltages. And the guy on the other end is like, stop. He's like a paid actor, so he's completely fine. But the guy doesn't know, and he keeps pressing the button. He's like, I don't feel right. I don't want to do this. He's like, this is wrong. And the guy in the lab coat's like, no, this is right. Like, we need this for science. And people go so far because of perceived authority. It's a really interesting fact. I can't remember the way the study is called, but like if you just type that into like ChatGPT or whatever, I'm sure you'll find the actual study. But it's really interesting. I think they did it in like
so they just kept they kept doing something even though I know it was wrong, but because it was just authority.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It's the power of authority, right? Yeah. That's why like everyone does what a doctor tells them, like blindly almost, right? So that's the power. A little slight tangent, but that is the power of authority. It's like you need authority on a sales call.
Not arrogance though.
Not arrogant.
And like exactly. The best closers, they don't just talk the loudest, they create the most certainty.
Yes.
And that's exactly off the back of what you're just saying, right? People in a lab coat, you immediately like trust it, immediate, right? Even though it's just perceived authority, but you still trust them. And therefore anything they say, it's kind of like a police. Like if like a policeman tells you that
policeman.
If someone in the police tells you that, well, you could be a policewoman, so yes, why I laughed. Tells you that something's wrong, or like you literally trust everything they say.
Yeah.
So even though that they knew that they were hurting someone, they knew that they had to for science, and it was like immediately they blindly trust.
Yep.
I won't go into COVID chat, but like you get what I'm saying, right?
Get what you're saying. Yeah. And that's the thing as well, like, this is where certainty and conviction and stuff comes in, right? If the doctor was kind of like, I think it's okay. Like, maybe we can, no, keep going. It's like, no, the way the doctor, he's like, it's completely fine. This is the experiment. This is what needs to happen.
Exactly.
And he's got a lab coat on. He's got certainty. He's got conviction. The guy's like, okay. And it gets to the point where he keeps zapping and there's no responses on the other end.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, is the guy okay? Like, I can't remember what it was. I think only like 9% of people or something ridiculous actually stopped.
Wow.
Everyone else kept going until there was no end.
Well, let's talk about the experience recently Bridget had with like arrogance, and because like arrogance does repel me.
Yeah.
Like and I'm talking about outside of sales. Like this arrogance, I'm just like, no, I don't have time for it. Like whatever. So I was in a sales call with a guy, and every now and then he would just drop these like stats about how good he is. Now he thought that was like showing his authority. For me, I'm going, gross.
Has that ever worked? Does it ever work?
Well, I mean, it must, because I mean, this guy's getting sales, so like it must be working. But like, he would say things like, you need to have money to be able to work with me.
Yeah.
And like, he would say things like, I'm very picky with who I work with because like, I don't need to take on clients. Like, sorry, that's not authority. That is arrogance. And that's actually making me not want to work with you.
So there's this thing, right, where like that stuff can have impact and it can have effect, but it can't come from you. It needs to come from someone else, right? It's ever like, if you were to walk into a room and be like let's just like you're amazing at some sport or something. You walk in, you're like, hey guys, what's going on? And it's like, oh, what do you do there? Oh, I'm wicked at like surfing. I'm really good, blah, blah, blah. People are like, what the fuck? Okay. But if I'm about to enter a room, right? And it's like, oh, Scott's coming over. And everyone's like, oh, Scott, what's he like? And then someone else in the room's like, man, he's a really good guy. Like, he's hell good at surfing as well. Like, really good at surfing.
Yeah.
And then I rock up in the room and I'm the humble guy that doesn't talk about surfing. Like, everyone's gonna be like, man, it lands so much well, right? Yeah. You can't do it yourself. So like, what he was doing, he should have baked that into the sales process or something, right?
Yeah, like, oh, send me a testimonial somewhere. Like,
there you go.
This guy's chosen to work with you. Like, you're very lucky.
Yes. He can come on and be the humble guy, and you've got that perceived authority.
Totally.
You can't push it. Guys, it has the inverse, like, it has the reverse effect.
Yeah.
If you try and do it on a sales call.
That's why we also get our setters to like, and all of our closers are amazing. Like, they're amazing women, and they've had such incredible journeys and transformations. Yeah. But that's how we get the setters to put them on a pedestal. Like, oh, and even when I'm talking to them, I'm like, oh, like Alicia or Ali or whoever.
Yeah.
Like, they're amazing. I'm so excited for you to talk with them. Like, do you know that she actually did this? Like, so I'm baking it in for them so that they don't have to have that arrogance. Like, because like I said earlier, it repels people. It literally gets them to do the opposite. Plus, like, to me, that's like, I don't trust that person based on what he's saying. Like if someone says to you, I've got $1 million in my bank account, you're like, show me.
You'd be like, cool, like, I didn't ask. But
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not blindly believing that. Just like if it's someone's like, I only work with like A-list celebrities, I'm like, okay, why are you taking a call with me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, just show that. Like, show it on the front end.
Yeah.
It never works.
No. I'm going to say, sales is a leadership game.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. You know, if you don't lead the call, your potential client will. Someone is looking to lead. So who's it going to be? Are you going to let them? The best thing that I like to explain to my girls, like imagine someone knocking at your door, because in a sales call, it's your house. Someone's in your house, right? Someone's knocking at your door. You open the door, they walk inside and they start showing you around your own home. They're like, oh, come look at the master bedroom. You're like, I know how to get there. Why am I following you? Why am I allowing that to happen?
Yeah.
It's like you haven't commanded respect and you haven't commanded authority. So of course, your potential client is just being like, well, I guess I will.
Yeah.
So tell me about your program.
Yeah.
That's when you start hearing that.
So interesting, right? Like I hear it so much, especially on outbound, right? It's like outbound and setting. Like it's in interaction with human beings, any human beings, like there's always one will step into a role of leadership and the other one falls into like a follower role. And such an interesting dynamic because like you'll see people doing outbound and it's like they're trying to have that role, but then like through the way the conversation goes, through like just not knowing where they're going, not knowing the questions, you just see the other person go, okay, this is getting a little bit weird. Like I'm going to have to step up and start asking questions.
Early.
It's like a dynamic always has to happen.
Yep.
So it's like either you're going to be doing it or your prospect will start doing it.
Yeah.
So
well,
it's like,
I listened to a sales call just recently where like there was great connection. She was initially leading the call, but then she allowed them to go off topic and she started talking about how much she loves her mom and that she doesn't have kids. And then guess who stepped into the mother role? The potential client. So in that moment, the dynamic and the leadership completely shifted.
But tell me about your program anyway. What do you guys do? That's the one I love.
What happened? Like that exact thing. They were like bonding and they were like smiling at each other. And she was like, yeah, I don't have kids, but like me and my mom were like best friends. And like, no one asked, firstly. And secondly, then guess who's assuming that we're the mother?
Exactly.
So she started saying things like, oh, you remind me of one of my daughters. And like, oh, go on. Well, tell me about the program. Come on. Let's go have coffee and just like chat about the program.
It's interesting, right? I've managed to like look at it. It's usually within 3 minutes. That's like the cutoff point. And it's like so interesting. It's like you get like 3 minutes, kind of 20. And there's that lack of leadership. You watch the prospect be like, but like, so just tell me, like, what is it that you guys do? Like, this is outbound specifically, right? But it's it's an interesting dynamic. But like, that's the thing, just knowing that dynamic, like you have to be that person. The prospect can't be that person.
You're not handing your keys over as soon as someone walks into your house.
No.
Like you're actually guarding those keys. Like, are you going to show everyone into your master bedroom? I don't know.
Just you.
Inappropriate, but yeah, I was going somewhere with that.
How to say that?
You know, like today, like the other day in one of my sessions, we came to a really beautiful, like epiphany we had. We called it pilot energy. We were talking about certainty. And I like asked them, I was like, have you ever been on a flight and when the pilot is talking, ever felt unsafe or like you didn't trust them? Never. They're so cool, calm, collected. That's how you lead.
Yeah.
That's certainty and that's authority. They're just like, hey guys, like, you know, we're smooth and sailing up here. Like, I don't know why I'm putting on an accent, but like.
But that's what they do.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Like, I hope you're really enjoying your flight. We're just cruising along at high altitude here, like whatever they say. But like, it's pilot energy. That's what you need to have. You need to embody pilot energy because when I literally stop my device and I'm listening to the pilot because I'm like, okay, thought this plane was going to crash. Don't anymore.
You are a nervous flyer.
I am. So that pilot energy is what you need to embody.
Yep.
And just remember, like, you don't need to bully someone across the line. Like, don't get mad. Don't let them change your state.
No.
The best thing, I'm going to do it for you right now. Okay? Best thing, because you're the change. You're the state alterer, right? Like, you're the person who has the power to change someone's state, not the other way around. But something that I like to do, and shout out to Ben Elliott, he taught me this. So, stand up. You literally, you have to do this. Like, hey, you got to pretend you're super gluing yourself into the seat.
Nice.
And then when you're in, like you are literally in your state. You are, and the state that you have is unshakable. Yeah. So like, I like that because A, it's a visual and like you're actually doing it. And I know it's silly, but it seriously works.
True, yeah.
Because like as soon as someone then will, like, you know, because perceived, like someone's perceived truth, for instance, let's say that you've bombarded them with communication and prior to the call, they're like mad, read a text chain and you're like, oh my, I'm about to talk to this person. You can literally allow them to change your state and show up triggered to that call, or you be rock solid in who you are, you soon smile and they come on and you serve them because your state is unshakable. You know, you don't need to allow them to like make you feel triggered or have resistance.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So to summarize, because you know I love summary, don't be a dick.
Just don't be a dick. I like, yeah, no need to arrogance or ego.
Yeah,
like,
you don't have to steamroll people to be an alpha, right? It's like be the level 5 leader. Don't be a level 1 leader.
Yeah.
Inspire, get the most out of people and influence them because you see and you know that they can do better for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Take a stand for them.
Take a stand for them, 100%. And when they see that and that you see that in them, they will follow you more than if I go, hey, you need to do this program because, like, you know, you need to lose weight.
Wear the lab coat without wearing the lab coat.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that. Because you can have that perceived authority in just how you're communicating with them prior to the call, how you show up, like the language that you use. There's so many things that you can do to have that expert status. You don't need the lab coat.
Yeah, and don't tell people, like, don't try and don't talk about how good you are as well. It's just that never goes well.
You don't know who I am?
When has that ever happened? When is someone talking about how good they are and you go, wow, this guy must be good. Or this lady she must be through it. Yeah, it never goes down well. Cheat code is have someone else at the party that's talking really good about you. AKA known as a win woman. Sweet. Alrighty guys, we'll end it there and peace out.
Bye.